Today, I know you've got the Tupilak Atmo to show us, and this looks like it's been pretty significantly reworked for spring/summer 21. Do you want to tell us a bit more about the changes that have been made and what the sort of jacket, where you see it being used and what for?
Yeah, so the original Atmo we brought out kind of 2 or 3 years ago now. And the intention of that was that it was a much lighter and more packable version of our sort of, I guess you'd call it our standard Tupilak jacket, which is our kind of full 80D Pro jacket, which is super tough, super protective. But we got a lot of requests from our athletes, people like Tom Livingston, Eugene Hawthorne, Raphael Haug, and Paul Ramsden. Those guys were doing really big exposed routes in the high mountains, and they absolutely had to have full waterproofs, if you like, for those big routes. But they just needed them to be lighter than that standard kit. We're not talking about a day out in Scotland. It was more, 3, 4, 5 days, even a week on a route. So having something that was lighter, more pliable, easy to climb in was a real priority for those guys.
So I remember the original had areas of Pack-like Plus on it to sort of shave a bit of weight off. But within this newer version, that is not the case, am I right in saying?
No, so the original version was a mixture of Pack-like Plus. It had some Pro in the shoulders. It was sort of 20 denier through the body. And actually, to be blunt, those jackets, given the kind of hammer they got, Tom Livingston used one on his new route on the north side of the Toc, also on Cailloux Zom. Eugene actually battered his in Canada. And they were lasting a lot longer than you'd expect a jacket that light. But we still felt it was possible to make something that was still just as practical from the hard climbing point of view, but appreciably more durable. So this is a full 30 denier Gore-Tex Pro fabric. And we spent 2 years working on the development of this with the guys at Gore. We're a sort of main development partner with those guys. And it's been really exciting to see this fabric that is both lighter and a bit more pliable, but it's also more breathable as a result of having, just that lighter weight brings more breathability with it than those burlier face fabrics.
I guess that's it. It's ultimately the difference in between the two. Sounds like you've not only managed to make it more durable, but you've managed to make it more breathable as well. So you got 2 birds with 1 stone there.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a big plus for us. This is something that, given the kind of use these jackets were getting, we felt that was a really appropriate thing. It's obviously particularly appropriate if you're not a sponsored hero.
This is it, isn't it? Is that I don't know about you, but I like my jackets to last more than 5 to 7 days. 5 to 7 years is a bonus, really. And it sounds like this again. It's a jacket that actually is, it's actually become like a very much a lighter weight Tupilak, but with actually a very similar sort of still like that same spec and credentials now that you've both got Gore Pro. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Our kind of standard Tupilak with all 80 denier fabric, it's a tougher, burlier jacket than this. Frankly, if you're buying a jacket predominantly for, Scottish mixed climbing, that kind of thing, you're probably still better served by that jacket. But if you're going on like really big routes where weight is a bigger part of the equation, and packability is a bigger part of the equation, this is a fantastic thing because you still get that, that really high level of protection that Gore-Tex Pro gives you.
I just like the fact that we could refer to the Tupilak as the standard Tupilak, which is it's like the understatement of the century with the jacket that does represent it's the all mountain, bad weather, the king of that genre, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it, and it's still it's still a phenomenal bit of kit. This doesn't replace that, but I think what this does is it's a very specialist bit of kit, but it's not so specialist, if you like, that it's not more widely usable, I guess. And this newer version has gone out. Tom and Eugene have both been using kind of samples of this really heavily, and they've both commented that it's just a bit more inspiring while still doing that job that they want in terms of being lighter and really nice to climb super hard in.
So Scottish winter, still the Tupilak has its edge with its obviously the higher denier face fabric. With this strikes me as something a little bit more, as you say, like fast and light and alpine, but still very much within the mountaineering mold.
No, absolutely. It's still got all those features that you expect to see on something like a Tupilak, even a Loadsy jacket. It's got our Alpine fit, which is really well proven now, which is really nice and trim. There's no excess fabric there to flap around, even when, in super bad weather. And I guess one of the really key things is it's got the huge, super Alpine hood on it, exactly the same hood as the Tupilak jacket. And again, brings with it that much greater level of face protection too. So when things really kick off, this is still a hood that's going to work well for you. The other thing that comes across from Tupilaks, Loadsys, things like that is our absolute top end level of Gore-Tex construction. So there's a lot of bonding in this jacket, which reduces seam lines, which often can be early wear points. And it also just helps with pliability and being able to move really well in the jacket as well.
So, Rich, on the hooded side of things, I know that you are a man who likes a hood, and Mountain Equipment are a brand that pride themselves on having hoods that fit as well over a helmet as you could possibly wish for. Tell me, what style have you opted for within the Tupilak Atmo?
Yes, this is our biggest, most climbing specific hood design. Basically, it's our super Alpine hood. We have a few different hoods on our shelves, and I guess most jackets like the Loadsy, have our standard helmet compatible mountain hood, which is it's still pretty big, and it's an incredibly protective hood for most use. And as the name implies, it will go over a climbing helmet. But this is a different beast altogether. So if you're predominantly buying a jacket for climbing, you're going to be having your hood up over a helmet a lot, and also wanting to climb with your hood up a lot. This is a much better solution. So it's got this much bigger design that easily swallows absolutely any climbing helmet. It's got a laminated peak, but also a little bit of wire in there too. And then it's got much more face protection than you'd find in some of our kind of more general purpose jackets, just general purpose mountaineering jackets, which means that when you've got a hood up over a helmet, you can be right buried inside your jacket, and it's not kind of plastered against your face. You don't get that really uncomfortable pressure. So yeah, if you're having to climb through really, really serious weather, it's going to keep working for you really well.
Amazing, because we've obviously talked about this as being the fast and light option, but the reality is that actually it has been designed with the sort of Scottish winter spec in mind. It's just not quite got that same abrasion resistance as its, I guess, burlier cousin.
Not quite as much, no. I mean, still very tough, but ultimately, guys like Tom and Eugene are using jackets like this as opposed to maybe wearing soft shell on really big routes, and because there is an understanding that whether you're in the Himalaya or Alaska or Patagonia or wherever, you can get caught out, and if you get caught out on a really big route, it's an incredibly serious thing. So these guys still want the proper protection that a shell gives you, but in a format that still allows you to move quickly, to climb really hard, because you're carrying clearly the smallest number of layers that you can to give yourself as much protection as possible.
So, Rich, we focused on the Tupilak Atmo for the upper half. What have you got for the bottom half? Yeah,
so we have a matching pair of salopettes, which, as you can probably guess, are very much in line with the jacket. It's quite a similar design overall to our Tupilak pants, the 80 denier version. We've still got full-length side zips. We've still got that kind of eye screw protection there. But 30 denier fabric throughout, and it just makes them that little bit more flexible, that bit more pliable. Again, what we've tended to see with Tom he used this kit on Koyuzom, was that, not only is he climbing snow, well, guys like Tom climbing snow and ice in them, they're doing a lot of hard rock climbing on these routes as well. So having a pair of Gore-Tex trousers that are tough enough, but also kind of pliable enough and supple enough that you can do that kind of climbing in is a big thing. And we're really pleased with these. So they're just a little bit lighter than the standard ones, like in the same way as the jacket is.
All in all, it would be good to see it, reviewed by the UKH test team in the fullness of time. And no doubt that even though spring's on its way, I suspect that we've probably got more than our fair share of bad weather days to come as well.
I suspect so, yeah. It feels quite spring-like at the minute, but I think winter may not be over. Yeah.
Well, my fingers are crossed. Hey, thanks for joining us, Rich, and cheers for taking us through that.
No problem.